We watched WWE Survivor Series 2022, November 26th, 2022. A very good show on the whole.
Hey, Randy wants to know, Vinny, if you're looking forward to the XFL. Or you're not going to bother?
The short answer is yes. It was fun last time for the half a season we got. I'm excited to see what if the Seattle Sea Dragons can build the foundation that the Seattle Dragons started. Yeah, they changed the name. They put the word sea in there. Apparently someone pulled out a map and said, oh, look, they're on the ocean over here. We should put sea in the name. Sea Dragons.
Oh, that kind of sea. I thought you meant like the letter C. Like they're the Sea Dragons.
That sounds like a very like a Dragon Gate faction.
Well, you could argue about what
like
the
an
C
Urban
stands
Dictionary.
for. You don't tell anybody what the C stands for. So then it could be like cock dragons or, whatever.
And there it is.
I mean, there could be others. Don't get me wrong. Anyway, should we do this?
We so should do this. So, the show opened with a cool video montage and music video with Black Sabbath doing War Pigs. Ozzy was actually there. I'm convinced that half of the reason Hunter still does premium live events is just to bust out his favorite old vinyl records and put them on the TV here.
The Chop Dragons.
It opens with a women's War Games match. Now, I watched the pay-per-views only. I haven't hardly watched a main roster WWE show in years. So, this felt to me, as these women came out, like they took the entire women's roster, put them in a jar, shook them out, and dumped it onto the table. And like whoever ended up on this side is on one team, and whoever ended up on the other side is the other. And it didn't help that it's a team event here. There was no color coordination, no uniforms. Unlike the main event, the men's match. The men's match
Okay, there's nothing wrong with that, Benny.
Well, Vinny, I mean, this is clearly you have not been watching the main roster because they did not mix and match a bunch of these are very clearly feuding factions.
Okay.
The only difference is that Becky literally left the day that the Damage Control showed up, so she has not really been feuding with them. But she got injured at SummerSlam when she was wrestling Bianca. She managed to finish the match. And then the storyline they gave was that Damage Control made it worse.
I see.
So when she showed up as a mystery opponent, they can fool you into thinking this was the plan all along. But what actually happened was they just needed an excuse to get Becky out of there, and this is how it all worked out.
Well, last time I saw Becky, she was having a match with Bianca Belair against each other, not teams. Last I saw Alexa Bliss, I think she was still in some variant of Bray Wyattness. Yep. Last time I saw Mia Yim, she was in whatever the hell that anarchy group was, the protesting group, whatever the hell their name was. And last time I saw Asuka, actually, it was on a Twitter clip where she and Io Sky were having an awesome verbal battle in Japanese. I didn't understand one word of it. Was great. So anyway. We open with Bianca Belair versus Dakota Kai.
Back off that mic a tad and continue on.
We open with Bianca Belair and Dakota Kai. We are told if you escape the cage, you will forfeit the match for your entire team. And I wrote this down and emphasized it because I was certain that if one of these two matches, some bozo was going to get out of the cage, they would ignore this rule. But no, it never happened.
You know what's funny about that rule is how stupid it is. So you're telling me that if I'm doing a 5-on-5 match, and it's me and Vinny and Craig and Sonny O'Mara and Nate, and we're all in a cage together. If I leave, thus putting you four at a massive disadvantage, the match is just over?
Yeah.
I mean, I should be able to run away if I want.
Oh, no, you should not. It's a cage match. You should not be able to run out of a cage match.
Well, I mean, you shouldn't be able to, but if there's no roof on it, and I'm a coward, I guess you could say that's surrendering if you just flee.
Sure.
I guess maybe that's an explanation for it, but it's kind of a weird rule. You cannot just leave. Your whole team will lose.
Bianca Belair always been a great athlete, in better shape than she's ever been here. Very, very lean. Corey Graves with some sage advice for all you potential pro wrestlers out there. Keep yourself as far away from Impact as you can, he says. And I don't know if he meant it the way I took it, but I took it that way. So they had a 5-minute period here, and the one thing about this match, we'll get to the big picture stuff at the end, but they did a great job of sticking to the War Games formula. The best in years that I have seen sticking to the War Games formula. They tried sometimes in NXT, they never quite got it right. They tried sometimes in TNA and butchered it to death. I think Blood and Guts have been okay at doing this, but this match stuck to the formula of the good guys win for 5 minutes, or at least are winning at the end of 5 minutes, and then every time somebody new hits the cage, the momentum changes. There's a very simple formula, but if you do it right, it works every time.
Well, you're right, but they managed to... They didn't fuck it up, but I did find it funny where you had a women's War Games where the heels had the advantage. And then you had a men's War Games where the baby faces had the advantage, okay? So clearly they fucked up the main event by giving the baby faces the advantage, as we'll get to. But in the women's War Games, what was funny about it was they gave the heels the advantage. But if you watched the match, they also gave the heels everything the fans wanted to see.
Yes, that did
So,
happen.
like, Nikki Cross
Until
is a
the end,
heel.
but yes.
But she does the big dive off the cage, and everybody pops. They go crazy because she did something off the cage. Io Shirai is a heel. She does a moonsault off the cage. They all pop like crazy because she did something off the cage. Nikki's the first person in the cage. She grabs weapons. Everybody pops as she throws the weapons into the ring. And then the next person to throw stuff into the ring is Bayley, also a heel. She throws shit in the ring, and everybody cheers. And I thought... You know, you had it right, and you still managed to do it wrong.
It was not perfect.
Have the baby faces throw the shit into the ring. The fans are fucking chanting, "We want tables," and then they trot out Bayley to bring tables into the ring. I was like, why did you... fuck it, who cares? It was funny that they fucked that up.
It was not perfect. They could have done it better. So, Bianca spends the last 30 seconds or so here just eviscerating Dakota Kai, who took a thorough beating in this match from start to finish. Io Sky comes in for the heels, to make the save, make it 2-on-1. Now, 3 minutes for these interim periods here, that's just too long. Because, by definition, you don't want the heels doing cool stuff, aside from throwing weapons into the ring, which is the most they did. So... They're in there doing very basic things most of the time, but it's 3 minutes of basic things, and it overstays its welcome.
Well, it's not only that, but how long can you do a comeback before you lose the crowd?
Also true.
It's way better with 2-minute intervals because first off, it takes you a good 30 seconds to get to the ring. You get in the ring, you got 90 seconds to fucking run wild, and then here comes a heel. The heel takes 30 seconds to get to the ring. Now you only have to do heat for 90 seconds. Just beat down these baby faces for 90 seconds. The people are excited. Here comes another baby face. When you do 3 minutes, you know, what happens every time is, you know, you're beating on the baby face. The crowd starts to get bored. So now the baby face starts making a comeback. Then you beat him down again. Now here comes another baby face. That baby face runs wild for a while. Then you cut them off. And then they have to run wild again because now a heel has to come down. It's too long. It makes it harder to have good drama and excitement.
Yes. Each segment overstays is welcome. Asuka comes down to even the odds, make it 2-on-2. I did like, for the most part, they were running to the ring as fast as they could. And it's mostly Asuka beating at both the heels by herself for 3 minutes. Bianca did recover to press Dakota around, throw it into the cage, and beat her ass some more. Nikki Cross makes it 3-on-2, spends the vast majority of her time throwing weapons into the ring. The crowd is just demanding tables because wrestling fans are dumb. I would much rather go through a table than be hit with a stick or be hit with a trash can or be hit with a trash can than any of this stuff. The tables are the softest part of this entire... All this plunder, the tables are the softest part. So when she's actually doing stuff, it's all just hitting people with weapons. Alexa Bliss is the next babyface. She comes in to make the save, make it 3-on-3. She is charging down the aisle. She is nearly decapitated by a camera cord hanging above the ring. Stops at the last second to duck under it, throw it down, shoot the cameraman a look like he nearly killed her, and then make a great recovery, just get back in the ring and do her job. Made a hell of a comeback, actually. Everyone's hitting each other with sticks for a while. Nikki Cross is just chilling up on the top rope. Finally dives onto everyone at the perfect time because everyone's down for the last 20 seconds until Bayley comes in to make it 4-on-3, gets a couple ladders. I would definitely rather go through a table than get hit with one of these ladders, that's for sure, or go on one of these ladders. Just random stuff other than the plunder getting thrown in. But again, it's the heels. It's not supposed to be exciting. It's supposed to be fun when the babyfaces run in. So Mia Yim makes it 4-on-4. She's also grabbing plunder. At this point, it occurred to me, why did he even bother sticking this stuff under the ring? There should just be a pile of plunder in the aisle, and as you run down the aisle, grab a weapon, hit the ring, and go. That's just be fun.
Lethal lockdown, baby. Just lower that lid with all that shit and let him go to town.
They did that there. They did that there, too.
Yes.
Wacky, convoluted spot where all 8 women are fighting atop 4 separate turnbuckles, leading to 4 separate superplexes, but it was cool, and they tried something different. And everyone is down as Rhea Ripley makes it 5-on-4. Complete destruction. She's the biggest, strongest, scariest person on the heel team, destroying everyone. The heels here are so dominant that Nikki spends the entire period just sitting on the top rope laughing like the Cheshire Cat. And Mia makes a brief comeback, but then she gets trash canned to death until Becky Lynch comes in the ring, makes a 5-on-5. The match beyond officially begins.
No. War Games.
Well, the original Dusty Rhodes version.
I know, but
it was War Games
now,
and then the match beyond.
Now it is War Games begins. 30 minutes into this match.
Yes. That's a long time. And then they went for a lot of stuff. Now, I understand why they want to do pinfalls and submissions as finishes, and that's not a huge deal, but we're doing War Games, and I'm watching people do like schoolboys and cradles. This is not in the spirit of War Games. It's too athletically competitive for games of war.
Perhaps you've never heard of the art of war, Vinny. The artistry of a cradle in a war.
Interesting.
Yes.
Perhaps I missed that chapter in Sun Tzu. Let's see. Rhea Ripley gets misted by Asuka. There's a lot of spots where it's 3 or 4 people doing a spot, and then the other 7, 8, whatever it is, just laying there doing nothing on it for a while. I loved when they teased a 9-person Tower of Doom.
Yes.
And Bianca's at the bottom, and she's going to powerbomb 8 other people down to the mat. And then whoever the 10th person was, I think it was Nikki. Nikki hits Bianca in the guts with a stick. Bianca falls down, and everyone just takes turns climbing or falling off the cage one by one.
I did like the idea that, it'd be too ridiculous for her to hit 9 people with a stacked-up superplex. So let's just do something also ridiculous, which is we're all going to fall off this fucking rope together.
So let's see. I did find myself asking why the heels were hitting all the big spots. Nikki and Alexa go into a trash can. They're out of the match. Rhea puts Mia through a ladder. They're both out of the match. I don't know what happened to Asuka. She disappeared at the finish of this match. I have no idea what happened. But it's Bianca and Bayley versus Damage Control 3-on-2. And they did a cute spot where Bianca misses her finish, but Becky hits hers, and then vice versa. And then for the big finish, I will give them credit for this. After all this the past half hour of the heels doing most of the cool stuff, what was coolest to these fans was this table and coming off that cage. And so Bianca and Bayley are the ones in the end who put the heels on the table. Becky's the one who goes at the top of the cage, does a leg drop senton thing through multiple people through the table, ends up pinning Dakota Kai. They did a great job of following the formula. Everyone had a chance to look good. And in the end, it was the babyfaces getting the biggest pop of the match for the biggest spot in the match and immediately winning. So I gave a huge thumbs up to the Women's War Games match.
Really? I gave this a thumbs in the middle. And I actually, when it was over, I thought, I don't know if I'm getting old or what, but I'm just feeling like I should throw them something. Because this match, I mean, they worked very hard. And they did a lot of crazy stuff, and they tried. But at the end of the day, all I could think watching this match is, what in God's name is the story of this match? The story of this match is we're doing a lot of stuff. That was the story. And, some of this stuff looked bad. Io Sky had a horrible night. She botched one thing after another early. And then, at the end, Becky does what really, I got kids. They go to those jumpy houses. This looked like something you do in a jumpy house. She jumped off something and sat on 2 people. And then got the win. And it was over, and I thought, okay, hold on a second. Both this and the main event. What did we accomplish here? Becky won.
Right.
So do we have a challenger for Bianca Belair? Are these 2 baby faces going to... Wait, we just saw it at SummerSlam with a finish. I mean, what was the point of this? And then, you could argue, well, Damage Control injured Becky, and so she got her revenge. Well, technically that's true. But after they wrote Becky out, right after SummerSlam, we never heard about her again. Literally, the storyline was, the day before the show, we're going to announce our mystery fifth woman. And the mystery fifth woman was Becky. So it wasn't even like this storyline, like, can she fight her way back and get revenge on Damage Control? It was like, we got a surprise. It's Becky. And then she does her jump off the bouncy house and she wins. And I'm like, okay, well, we settled nothing here. We have no challenger for Bianca. You know, they all did a lot of stuff, but it never felt like a war. It didn't feel like a war between two factions. It felt like exactly what I was told it was in some ways, which was, we need footage for the next video package of people on the main roster having a War Games. So we got to do a bunch of crazy stuff. So the next time we do a video package for War Games, it's not all footage from NXT. That's what this match was. So I'm giving it a thumbs in the middle because I'm in a good mood, but a lot of people gave it a thumbs down. I do know that.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know why, but the internet was buzzing because Rhea Ripley was doing pull-ups in the little cage.
Well, she's
all
strong.
over.
What, they've never exercised before? You don't think Rhea Ripley could do a fucking pull-up?
I believe she can, and I witnessed it with my own eyes. I did not think go to Twitter and report on it, though. A lot of people did. The build-up to the match beyond that we're not calling the match beyond was fine. I liked Io and Asuka in there together for the brief minute and a half. That was great. Poor Dakota Kai leapt off the top rope. She was going to double foot stomp Mia Yim, who was draped over the middle ropes. She did so, but then made the landing on her knees on the diamond plating metal that held the two rings together. That looked like it sucked. I thought this was a thumbs up. And I actually thought it was better than the main event. So there you go.
Well, we're all here to disagree, clearly.
Okay.
I did not think this was better than the main event.
I also like, by the way, they gave the winning team plenty of time to celebrate and let it sink in. This is a big triumph. And I know nothing was on the line. I don't know where we go from here. But damn it, winning this was important to them. And they got to celebrate the win, and that made it important.
By the way, Brian, is Bayley okay? Did she get hurt this match?
She may have gotten hurt in this match because there was a moment where Io did a moonsault, and she was caught. I forget, Bianca and somebody else caught her. But I remember Bianca because Bianca immediately went down and grabbed her ankle and then didn't get up for like literally about 3 or 4 minutes, and I thought she was done. And then she eventually got up and did a bunch of stuff. But then Bayley also took a bump. And you could see, like, the ref was, he's got some gimmick. I don't even know how the gimmick works, but he messes with his belt when he's communicating. And him and the doctor were talking for a while. And apparently it was determined that everybody was okay to continue. But I think Bayley on her Instagram may have been teasing that she was hurt. And if she did, it's probably true. Because I'd heard that Bayley and Bianca were the ones that people were worried about. But I didn't get any confirmation or anything like that, but I did hear that.
Okay.
Clips from SmackDown. Jey Uso, who does not trust Sami Zayn, spies on Sami talking to Kevin Owens. The beginning of SmackDown. When confronted about this, Sami denies talking to Kevin, even though, he doesn't know this, but Jey saw it happen with his own eyes. And then the shenanigans in the match later. Sheamus wins to give his team, which appears to be the babyfaces, the man advantage in War Games. That's strange. So let me see.
Well, we'll get to that here in a while.
So Jey goes to Roman, says Sami can't be trusted. I've been trying to tell you this since day one. I saw him talking to Kevin Owens. And Roman vows he will talk to Sami man to man, tells Jey to focus on tonight, and tells Heyman to call Sami. I do love they all call him Wise Man, by the way. Great nickname for Paul Heyman. Finn Balor versus AJ Styles. The show was 1 hour and 6 minutes old when the bell rang to begin the second match.
Yes.
So
I'm glad it did. This was a great match.
The execution of wrestling moves here was brilliant, And it was the first third of it was a backdrop just to set up the Judgment Day brawling with the Good Brothers, getting them all out of there, and then it became a one-on-one match. I kept waiting for this match to have a change in momentum, a dramatic shift in tone, a change of pace, some peaks and valleys. It was just two guys doing wrestling moves very well to each other, and then a finish. And there was really no turning point. There was nothing really to focus on. There was no real story to it other than two guys hitting each other really hard. The camera work on this show was way better than I'm used to from WWE shows. There were a few times where instead of doing camera cuts for strikes, they did super intense zooms instead, which was very headache-inducing. And then AJ Styles hit the phenomenal forearm out of nowhere. And the finish got over, and he got the win. And I thought it was a good match, but not as good as I was expecting. It felt like one of those matches where you could cut up the entire thing into 2-minute bits and shuffle them in almost any order, and it would have been about the same.
You know, I watched this match, and I thought it was really good wrestling. But I was just... When he hit that forearm and pinned him, my first thought was, what did I miss? And I rewound it. Yeah. And in fact, I had missed nothing. Because at first I thought somebody must have interfered. Because I've seen AJ go for that phenomenal forearm 1,000 times. And, you know, something always goes wrong. Maybe he hits it later. But the first time he goes for it, there's always something. And he hit it. And so, you know, I rewound a little bit, and there was no interference. And then I actually rewound it again because I was like, what was the setup for this? Like, what did they do to lead to this? And the answer was nothing. This totally came out of nowhere. And it was a clean pin. And I don't want to complain about it, but I'm going to complain in the sense that they need to do this more often. Because the problem is they do it so rarely that when they actually do it, I figure something went wrong. I thought, you know, maybe Edge is going to come back during this match. You know, maybe they'll do something to lead somewhere. Because when they announced the match, I've been watching all the shows. And, you know, the two sides are feuding and everything like that. And I thought, you know, maybe they'll do a Survivor Series elimination match. They'll add one person to each team for men, and then they'll just do a 4-on-4 elimination. And instead, they announced AJ versus Finn 1-on-1. And I thought, okay, I don't know why, but I presume it's to set up the return of Edge. So they do the match. There's no, like, everyone brawled and then disappeared. They continue going 1-on-1. AJ pinned him clean in the middle. They looked at each other, and it was over. And I thought, I don't know why this match happened. I don't know what the point of it was. I don't know what the point is going out of it. It was just like, what the fuck happened here? And it was good. I mean, they're good wrestlers. Everything they did looked good. It was a good match, but it was just bizarre. This was totally bizarre. And people said it was boring, and people said it was not good. I would not say boring. I would not say not good, but it was just weird. This is so weird.
You know, I haven't watched the shows much like Vinny, and I always hear you talking about Dominic, and he's getting better, and he's a great heel. Listen, this crowd sucked. This is a horrible crowd. Dominic got so much heat just for being Dominic.
Yes. They hate this guy.
Yeah.
They hate him.
They really do.
And it's great. He is so much better now than he was as Ray's kid. Just out there doing flips. Nobody gives two fucks about him. Hey, you know what? They give fucks about him now. He may not be noticeably better in the ring or anything like that, but this youngster generates heat, which is an improvement. Anyway, that was the match. It was fine. It was a match, as Vinny used to say. It was a match.
Ronda Rousey versus Shotzi Blackheart.
Oh, boy.
Okay, I got to say something before we talk about the match. During this match, there was a "We Want Sasha" chant.
Yes, there was.
They immediately turned down the mics.
I see.
Yeah.
I am not sure they ever turned them back on. And the funny thing is, as Vinny mentioned in the Finn Balor match, I mean, I watched this show, and I was like, this crowd fucking sucks.
Yes.
And we got to the main event, and as we'll get to, the baby faces had the advantage. And I think it was when Drew McIntyre's turn came, and he starts walking to the ring, and I can't say it's crickets, but it's like, they're just like, okay, well, here comes Drew. No big pop, no super excitement. At that point, I sent out a tweet, and I said, if you're there live, does this crowd suck, or is it my TV? Okay? Now, unfortunately, I got like 500 people that responded, and I bet 480 of them weren't there. But from the ones that I think were there, they did say that the crowd was pretty good. So I think it was an issue with crowd miking. But at the end of the day, you know, most of us are watching at home, and I don't give a fuck if it's the crowd miking or not. This crowd sucked on TV when I was watching them. They didn't care about jack shit on this show, and it made it harder to watch.
Which brings us to Ronda Rousey versus Shotzi Blackheart. The story of this match, as best I can gather, is that Shotzi won a title shot in a fluky manner. No one thought she had a chance to win. Ronda thought she was a joke. Ronda's friend Shayna Baszler said, you're a joke. And Shotzi's goal was to come out here and not be a joke. And then for 8 minutes, or whatever it was, she was a complete and total joke.
Well, that is in fact exactly what happened here. And they did in fact give her jack shit.
Ronda was clowning with her. Ronda was clowning with her like Andre used to do when he wrestled 3 guys at once. And she catching her a dive. She has her tied up. Has a choice of which ankle she wants to snap. Begins to pull the fan. Try to snap her right ankle or her left ankle. And she's puts her in some kind of wacky hold. And then Ronda addresses the dead silent crowd and shouts at the top of her lungs, I don't hear anything. They don't care about you, Shotzi. At this precise moment, the crowd chants, we want Sasha. That's what cued the chants, was Ronda pointing out they don't care about Shotzi. And the crowd looking left and right said, Jesus Christ, we don't care about Shotzi. We want Sasha. So this went on for a while. Shotzi made something of a comeback, mostly focused on Shayna Baszler. And as Michael Cole addressed them, these 2 gentlemen who were sitting there minding their own business and had pro wrestlers thrown in their laps. And they go back in the ring, and Ronda does a judo throw off the top rope, powers her up into her Piper's Pit slam, puts her in the armbar, and Shotzi taps out immediately. Mm-hmm. I don't know what's happening here. I don't know what's up with anyone's contract or career. I'm not going to speculate. But
there was nothing.
If Shotzi Blackheart was leaving the company tomorrow, this is how I would write her out.
They just wanted a Ronda Rousey match. They didn't want to waste a big star. Oh. They didn't even try on television.
No,
I'm not even talking about in the show. I'm talking in the build. They didn't even try. And then they didn't even deliver.
No.
The match was not good. Nobody thought she could win.
No.
Nobody gave 2 fucks. And then we got a clean submission, and we just moved on with our lives.
I don't know what the end result would have been if everybody was cooperating on this move on the apron. I think Shotzi was going for a DDT, and then Ronda realized how ridiculous this was, and then didn't take it. And by the way, was there a wholesale clearance on eye makeup on this?
It's like this on every show, dude.
Oh my goodness.
Every show.
You know that makes it less attractive, right? They know
I
this,
know
right?
That, but they don't.
Okay.
So I'm going to step on people's toes here and do a little bit of gimmick infringement. But can I assume that Shotzi is, in fact, the Geek of the Week?
Oh, yeah.
She has to be.
I mean, probably.
She's a colossal geek here. Colossal geek.
I see a lot of geeks.
But I had fun watching this. I enjoyed myself laughing at Shotzi. Not with her. At her. Roman Reigns meets with Sami Zayn.
This segment was awesome.
He wants to know if it was true. Sami was talking to Kevin Owens. And Sami knows he's been caught. He can't lie to the tribal chief. And he slumps and he hangs his head. And just says, yes. Then Roman wants to know why Sammy lied to Jey Uso about it. And it's the classic parental thing. He's not upset about what Sammy did. He's upset Sammy lied about it.
Yeah.
And Sammy says, listen, Jey Uso had a big main event. He already had a lot on his plate. He doesn't trust me anyway. I didn't want to distract him. I didn't want to take his focus off the match. So Roman says, all right, what did Kevin Owens say? Sammy says, well, Kevin told me I should turn on the Bloodline before the Bloodline turns on me. Roman listens, wants to know, are you with us? Or are you going to stab us in the back? Sammy says, there's 5 men in this world who are allowed to be in this room with you. Jimmy, Jay, Solo, the Wise Man, and me. I know what that means. I know how important that is. I will not let you down. I am with the Bloodline. Roman seems convinced. Let's do it, he says. Stands up, gives him a big hug. There's a huge ovation for the hug. But then Roman's expression changes. And he's still not sure if he trusts this Canadian motherfucker. This was awesome.
Dude, this was fantastic because, people have asked, Roman doesn't watch the show? And the answer is no, Roman doesn't watch the show. Okay. But even if he did watch the show, Sammy told no lies. Everything he said was absolutely true based on what happened on SmackDown. Kevin Owens was the one who walked up to him. He didn't say anything to Kevin. Kevin did tell him to turn on them before they turn on you. Everything that he said to Roman Reigns was absolutely, positively true. And I love this story. This is the best WWE story. I don't even remember another one that was this good. Like, you might go back to, Daniel Bryan's Rise, but that was all on accident. That was all fucked up. That wasn't on purpose. So to go back to a story this good, I don't know, Hunter and Batista, there has to be another one since then, because that's like 15 fucking years ago. But, man, this one is great. It's great.
The best thing about it is the guys are actually believable. They're not speaking in WWE speak or anything like that. It's just, it's really a shining light on good.
Bobby Lashley versus Austin Theory versus Seth Rollins for the United States Championship. So this started off kind of wacky, just because they had a good, the bad, the ugly setup, where the good, as far as I can tell, is Seth Rollins, because he does all kinds of cool stuff. The bad is Bobby Lashley, because he's big and giant and scary, can destroy both these guys whenever he wants. And the ugly is Austin Theory, not because he's an ugly person, he's beautiful, of course, but he is an undeserving geek who does not deserve to be in there, who's there basically to be the fall guy for whoever ends up winning the match. That's the story they're telling. And he gives it a go, but for 12 minutes, it's made clear that he is not on the level of these 2 former world champions that he's in there with. And it starts to pick up towards the end, and Lashley runs wild for a while. Eventually, they team up and throw him into the stairs to cut him off. Goes back and forth for a bit. There's a triple submission spot where Lashley has Rollins in a full Nelson at the same time. Theory has Lashley in a sleeper. Lashley keeps going for the Hurt Lock to finish guys. Seth splashes everyone for I was certain that was going to be the finish. When he had the Hurt Lock on Theory, and Theory did the Steve Austin or the Bret Hart run up the ropes to Cradle, and Rollins hits a splash, I thought that was going to be the finish. It was not. But he makes a big comeback on both dudes. He finds himself with an option of who to hit with a curb stomp. And he opts to stomp Lashley, which proves to be a fatal error because he's going at it with Theory. Lashley comes back out of nowhere, Rollins is going for the suplex on Theory. Lashley spears Rollins. Theory slips on a banana peel, falls on top of Rollins. The ref counts 3. I don't know why you would have Austin Theory win and be the U.S. champion here, but for what they were doing and the way they wanted to do it, it came out perfectly. I thought it was a fine little wrestling
Well, they
match.
want to do it because they're trying to get this guy over. That's
by having him be a geek, an undeserving geek who shouldn't be there?
Well, they're trying to actually undo that. Coincidence.
Well, they did it more, I thought.
Well, yeah, it was not a clean win here, but, it's better than cashing in and failing, which is what he did last.
Fair.
I thought this was the best match on the show. I thought everybody looked really good. Oh, wow. I thought Seth was great. I thought that Bobby Lashley did a really good job. Thought Austin Theory did a very good job. I thought that for what they wanted to do at the finish, I thought it was executed perfectly. And now this guy's got the U.S. title. He no longer has his phone. And we shall see. He's got 2 built-in challengers, obviously. He can do more matches with Seth. He can do more matches with Bobby Lashley. Maybe they'll let him beat both guys. I doubt it, but he probably will beat Lashley. But I thought that, all things considered, they did a good job in this match. I thought bell to bell, just purely professional wrestling, this was the best match on the show. The main event angle was way better. They did crazier stuff in the Women's War Games match. You know, the execution may have been better in the AJ Finn Balor match. But as far as a hot crowd and cool spots and a good story, I thought this was the best thing on the show.
I didn't hate Austin Theory as much as I have in the past on this match. So that's a win for me. He didn't annoy me. He did not annoy me. He did not get under my skin. This was the least geeky he's been since he's had a push. Of course, like Vinny had said, the slip on the banana peel, he ended up winning. That could have been done better, but as everybody says, wait and see where it goes.
Roman meets Jay, who accuses Sammy of lying. Roman tells Jay he saw everything he needed to see, and Jay approves of this and doesn't question the tribal chief. Men's War Games match. Kevin Owens and his phenomenal Dusty Rhodes tribute gear, and not polka dots. He had a Dusty Rhodes shirt on, one red elbow pad, and black jeans. And as Corey Graves pointed out, the only thing he was missing was the cowboy boots. Mm-hmm. Kevin Owens and Drew McIntyre and the Brawling Brutes of Butch.
The Brawling Boot?
Should be the Brawling Boots of Butch, Ridge Holland, and Sheamus versus the Bloodline of Roman Reigns and Jimmy Uso and Jey Uso and Solo Sikoa and Sami Zayn. So Brian kind of gave away the review I'm going to give here, but the story is they did not set out to have a great wrestling match here. They set out to have a great angle and tell a great story. And at this, they succeeded.
But before you go any further, I will say that when you have a match where you're setting out to tell a great story and have a great angle, I really don't think you need to go 38 minutes. Because when this was over, I thought the angle was great. I thought the storyline was great. I thought the ending was awesome. It would have been way better at 30 minutes max, as opposed to sitting through 38 minutes to get to where they got to.
Yes, and if they would have gone that long, I think the women's match, this would have been better than the women's match. This just went too long.
Well, it went forever. They both had the 3-minute periods, which is those need to be 2 minutes, and that's 8 minutes right there, which is a huge difference in matches of this length. And then, yes, the actual match beyond portion of this did just go forever until we got to the finish. So it's Jey Uso starting with Butch. And it's Butch torturing Jey Uso for most of this and tearing his fingers apart until Ridge Holland comes in to make it 2-on-1. And at this point, I kind of gave up. Now, because as far as I can tell, the Bloodline are supposed to be the heels here, but they have the man disadvantage. And in fact, the only people who were getting reactions from the crowd was Sami Zayn and Roman Reigns. So it felt like for at least one night they were the baby faces anyway.
Well, if you watch the shows, they often, especially, Sami Zayn, he's a total babyface. People love him. And, when he's doing stuff with Roman and when he's doing stuff with the Usos, the fans love it. It's their favorite thing on the show. But technically, they are heels. So, I watched the match and I'm like, God damn, the baby faces are disadvantaged here. Or the heels are disadvantaged. The baby faces have the advantage. And, people argued, well, Sammy, it's all about Sammy and the fans love him, so he's really the baby face and this and that. And you could argue that if you want to. But ultimately, what you accomplish here was, man, these actual baby faces, they're geeks. And if you're fine with that, then that's great. But, Drew McIntyre drew a gigantic crowd for that Clash at the Castle, and he came off as a dude, just a guy in this match. Sheamus had that match with Gunther, and he was so fucking over. And then I thought they were going to put the Intercontinental title on him, and they didn't. And now here on this show, just another bloke. And then you got the Brawling Brutes, just dudes. I was like, man, if these guys came out of this, they got nothing. The babyface got nothing out of this match. And the guys that got over were Sami Zayn and Roman Reigns, who were already over.
Yep.
And don't get me wrong, I thought it was awesome. I loved this storyline. It was worth it to me to see this storyline continue. But if I were Drew McIntyre, or if I were Sheamus, or if I were Ridge Holland or these other blokes, I'd be like, fuck, what a shitty day this was for us. We got to fight back now.
It's funny, too, because giving the baby faces the advantage, the man advantage, it just doesn't tell a good story. But you could do it if, number one, if they did blood. They could have sent Butch in there. He gets bloodied up, and they still have the quote unquote man advantage, but you have a man down most of the match. They could have done it that way.
Well, they kind of did that with Butch, but at the same time, it's like he's in the cage. He got his ass kicked. It's not like like that's what you do in war games.
But Butch was winning throughout the whole time, and he was actually doing the small joint manipulation when the bell rang and Ridge Holland came in to give him the man advantage, and Butch wasn't hurt at all.
No, not really.
And then, by the way, at the end, as much as I love this angle, we have no challengers for Roman Reigns still.
No.
I mean, I guess you could do Kevin Owens, but he ended up beaten.
Yeah.
And then, Drew and Sheamus, they were just guys in this match. So, they accomplished one great thing, which was to continue this great storyline. But other than that, nothing.
The only company I've ever seen that did a babyface man advantage in a War Game style match and make it work was Ring of Honor. And that's because one of the babyfaces was Bryan Danielson, and he turned on Samoa Joe and took both of them out of the match. So the babyfaces ended up down like 2 men by the end, and Homicide had to come and make the save, and it's just awesome. If you've never seen the Cage of Death match, whichever, what that would have been, it goes 607, somewhere around there. Brilliant match that you should all go out of your way to see. All right, Ridge Holland comes in to make it 2-on-1, and your pet peeve, Brian, of guys who hit the turnbuckles as if they're hitting the ropes.
Oh,
yes.
Mine too.
Ridge Holland hits the turnbuckles to run them, like the way Bret Hart used to hit them to destroy his own sternum.
Yeah.
These poor turnbuckles. Ridge Holland was hitting them so hard.
Hey, you know who I want to put over is Bobby Lashley, because he hits the ropes to then charge into the corner. Yeah. He does not hit the buckle. He hits the ropes and then he runs at a weird angle to get to the corner. Great! I'm fine with that.
So they're double teaming Jay. They're torturing him. They're breaking all his fingers. This poor guy, I thought, poor Jay Uso. I hope somebody comes in to save him soon. So the bell rings, and Jimmy Uso starts to leave the little mini cage by the entranceway to save his brother. But Roman stops him, grabs him by the belt, and says, "No use to here. Sammy, I want you to go instead." So Sammy has to go, and he takes his time. He is unsure about this whole thing. And he's stalling, he's being cowardly, he's timid, and it's working because Ridge and Butch have stopped torturing Jay to focus on Sammy and be there waiting for him when he gets in this ring. So eventually he gets in there, they kind of go back and forth for a little bit, and Matt Jackson of the Young Bucks will do a spot where he'll grab both guys and do a double Northern Light suplex, and it's cool and acrobatic, but you don't for a second believe he's actually throwing these men around. Ridge Holland grabs Jimmy Uso, and he grabs Sami Zayn. He's carrying them around the ring, and then throws them back over his shoulder, and he shoots double suplex. That was awesome. The key spot here is when Ridge charges at Jay, and Sammy grabs Jay and pulls him out of the way to save him. And the Bloodline have taken over when Drew McIntyre makes it 3-on-2. He's just slaughtering dudes for 3 minutes. Sammy was a frisbee at this point. He's just being thrown left and right, hither and yon, up and down. He keeps trying to save Jay. He's doing everything he can to save Jay. It doesn't matter. They're still being overwhelmed until Jimmy Uso stops to make it 3-on-3. Enters to make it 3-3, I should say. He stops to grab some tables. The Bloodline are frantically trying to get him set up. Jay still doesn't trust Sammy, and they start to bicker, and they run wild until Kevin Owens comes in. He got a bunch of plunder. He's doing the Dusty Rhodes stuff, and then also the Cannonball and Senton, which are not Dusty Rhodes spots. He finds himself staring Sammy down, but we never got the Sammy versus Kevin moment. They both went their separate ways. There were other men to fight. So there's little brawls going all over the place. And the Brutes are winning when Solo Sikoa comes in to make it 4-on-4. He runs wild, and Solo Sikoa versus Kevin Owens it's Dusty Rhodes versus Big Bubba, or Dusty Rhodes versus Meng. Take your pick. It's the same stuff. It worked just as well. He's the unstoppable monster, and Kevin Owens is the every man standing up to him. And it doesn't work, because unstoppable monsters kill every man, but goddammit, he tried. He is... Meng Sikoa takes out Dusty Owens, gets flattened by Drew Koloff, and then Sheamus comes in to make a 5-on-4. And he's killing everyone. He just spends 3 minutes killing everyone by himself. It's 3 minutes of Irish dominance. Just destroys everyone. Roman Reigns comes in to make it 5-on-5. Huge pop, huge ovation, chants for his name. I don't know if that was their intent or not, but it's what happened. And he rallies his troops, and Sheamus rallies his, and there's a big 5-way spot, and as a very mixed reaction. I was just very confused on what emotional reaction I was supposed to have for this, who I was supposed to like or cheer for or anything. Now, confused is not bored, and confused is not frustrated. I was still enjoying myself, but I was confused. They do the 50 beats of the Bowden, where Sheamus and all his buddies hang all their opponents to the ropes and hit him. Actually, it was more like 100 beats, but they all hit him in the chest several times. And then for a brief moment, everyone forgets what they're supposed to be doing. And Drew kind of saunters over to Jay down on the mat, and you can hear Jay telling me, you're supposed to get together with Roman. And he goes and does something with Roman. A bunch of random stuff happens for a long-ass time. Ridge goes through a table. Drew goes through a table. Owens is running wild. He hits the stunner on Solo. He's brawling with Roman. He hits Roman with a pop-up powerbomb in the stunner. He makes the cover. But Sammy blocks that 3 count, and now it's inevitable. Now Sammy and Kevin can't avoid each other. This has to come to a resolution here. And they're staring each other down, and something's going to happen. But before it can happen between them, Jimmy throws a super kick at Kevin. Kevin catches the super kick, but now he is helpless, and Sammy low blows his former best friend. Hits him right in the nuts. The fans are so angry and upset, they are singing the Olay song from El Generico's days. Sammy hits the haluva kick on Owens, lays him out, sacrifices him for Jay to the frog splash so Jay can get the win. The Bloodline wins. Roman gives Sammy, I should clarify. Roman gives Sammy a big hug, and then Jay gives Sammy a passionate hug. Sammy has won Jay over. Jay is a huge Sami Zayn at this point now. The only thing I can figure, the only way left for this to go is Sami Zayn has to get the matching tribal tattoos. It has to be done. Has to be done. It can't be avoided. So there you go.
Well, I do know at the house shows tonight, Sami Zayn and Jay now have a special handshake they've been
goodness.
Okay.
What great friends.
Hey, listen, I thought the angle was great because I love the storyline, love Sammy and Roman and Jay. They're all awesome. But on the subject of these baby faces, I mean, man, poor Kevin Owens. That's another one. It's like Kevin Owens hits his move, Sami Zayn breaks it up, and Kevin Owens, he just freezes. It's like, brother, you're in War Games, dude. What did you expect? What did you think was going to happen here? And then he's getting in an argument asking Sammy if he's really on the other team. Sammy's like, yeah, I'm on the team. It's fucking War Games here. Then he hits the guy in the nuts, and then they hit the move and they pin him. I'm like, I know that, this audience, and they'll do storylines and everything, and they'll make you want to see Kevin Owens versus Roman Reigns, but they made him look like a geek. And he was one of a bunch of geeks on the babyface team. But at least, it's all about the Bloodline. It's going to be the Bloodline, I'm sure. Roman Reigns and The Rock at WrestleMania, and Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens versus the Usos, and they got months to build it up, and I'm sure it's going to be great, and I love the ending, but, sometimes there's more to it than just a cool ending. There's the, what's the word? When others are taken down in war? Anyway, what can you do? I like the angle.
Casualties of war?
There were casualties of war here, and it was all the baby faces.
Yes.
They're casualties of this storyline. Anyway.
Thought this was a great show. I haven't have been not been the biggest fan of WWE for a while now, and I was thoroughly entertained as I watched the show.
There was some good stuff. There was some bad stuff. But even the bad stuff I had fun watching. Actually, there was one bad match. And even that bad match I had fun watching. So,
I think in the end, I would say that I couldn't give it a thumbs up, but I couldn't give it a thumbs down. But I could give it a hearty thumbs in the middle. And and I will say that, until about the last 10 minutes, it was a solid thumbs in the middle. But I would say that main event angle, I enjoyed it enough that I would give this a thumbs in the middle trending upwards.
Wow.
That's how much I like that angle. But, a one angle show, I can't give a